past Monday, we had Nash and Goldberg up and down. I mean, we had a pay-per-view card, okay? It was up against a wedding. The whole show on Raw was based around a wedding.
With Raw about to go on the air in an hour for one of its most promoted shows in months, WCW, in an attempt to counter the hype, announced a loaded star power card from the start, building Nitro on a triple main event involving all its major players, starting with Bill Goldberg coming to the ring to call out the Outsiders in the build to the first main event, with the third Goldberg vs. Nash match set for later tonight, bringing out Hall and Nash to mock Goldberg after Hall laid him out with a chair shot last Monday, closing the segment in a four-way brawl with Seed walking out saying that there's a new babyface in town, with Hall vs. Seed set to open the crossover quarter at 9 p.m. in less than an hour. Two weeks after the Oklahoma character debuted on the air, Jim Ross responded publicly for the first time during the week, saying that he heard about the parody but is not planning on watching it, talking about his previous relationship with Russo and Ferrara while they were in the company, saying that he thought they would be more considerate given that they were there the last time he got sick in December, while talking about Russo's opinion of him professionally, saying that while Russo told people that he wanted JR back on the air, he always thought that Russo would like to see him disappear from the television product. Russo, when commenting on if the parody skits were personal shots at JR, said that it was always about entertainment and JR was walking around with a cowboy hat in real life and taking himself more seriously than anyone he has ever seen, which was the idea for a comedic character, while criticizing JR for his other role as head of talent relations, saying that he asked for more talent for months due to the addition of SmackDown and all JR cared about was getting his air time on TV. Nitro's angles in the first hour included Russo booking Piper to be the referee in a mud wrestling match, Vito and Johnny taking Mean Gene to the club before getting to Disco, and Hall and Nash having a backstage interview with the interviewer for the night, Chavo, with Hall saying that he's carrying around the TV title when the belt is useless, ending up with Nash throwing it in the trash to write off the title, with the Revolution group coming out for a promo a few minutes from 9 p.m. cutting a promo on the American crowd for cheering Canadians like Hart and Benoit over them, with this segment crossing over the top of the hour to bring out Jim Duggan for a brawl. After the Revolution segment, Nitro took a commercial break in bad timing with Raw already on the air, followed by Scott Hall vs. Seed in the first of the hyped card of matches, going 3 minutes with Hall going over after interferences from Jarrett and Goldberg. As with interest picking up on Raw, Nitro started with its lowest opening quarter in the Russo-Ferrara era to date, doing a 2.7 rating. With this segment announced months in advance, along with it already being a hyped Raw with the first ever show from the new Staples Center in LA, the WWF heavily promoted Raw on November 29 throughout the week, targeting an additional audience on the night for the traditionally big drawing wedding angle set for the main event segment later tonight, with the show opening with the show and Kane vs. Bossman and Viscera tag match, followed by DX coming out for a promo, with Triple H showing footage of Vince's car attack last week, saying that they have a 50-feet restraining order against him, while promising that there would not be a wedding tonight, with Raw opening big already in the 6 rating range in its highest opening quarter in over a month. Nitro's second quarter saw another Piper-Russo confrontation along with a Steve Williams vs. Jerry of the Misfits in a cage match with Oklahoma on commentary, dropping to a shallow 2.5 rating, while Raw picked up the viewership, jumping over 500,000 viewers to a 6.5 rating for Vince McMahon coming out to confront DX, mocking them for their order of protection against him while hyping the Vince vs. Hunter pay-per-view match, announcing the top 2 matches for tonight, with Test getting a wedding present in a match against Hunter, and Rock and Mankind teaming up against the 3 other members of DX, closing the segment warning that anyone who gets involved in the ceremony later will get fired on the spot tonight. Nitro entered the 3 rating range for the first time on the night between 9:30 to 45 for the second promoted main event, with Bret Hart defending the WCW title against Meng after going over Sting and Luger in singles matches over the past few weeks, going 7 minutes to jump over 700,000 viewers to a peak 3 rating, ending up with the continuation of the subtle hints of the swerve to come at Starrcade, with Hall and Nash interfering to go after Bret while accidentally helping him retain the belt. With one of Russo's trademarks being giving everyone on the roster from top to bottom a storyline on television, one of his WWF favorites in D'Lo Brown led to a back and forth between the companies, with rumors of him jumping with Russo, starting first on the company hotline with Mark Madden reporting that D'Lo is about to leave the WWF for WCW, leading to head of talent relations JR responding to the claim on the company website saying that D'Lo isn't leaving as he still has a year and a half left on his contract, with Madden responding a few days later saying that JR told half the truth, as Brown has a clause in his contract which would allow him to leave before extending for another year in January 2000. At the same time, another major name was rumored to go in the opposite direction, with Dallas Page jumping to the WWF, including Page visiting the roster while both companies were in Toronto last Sunday during the WWF house show in the Sky Dome, with him reportedly having a conversation with Paul White, who introduced him to Rock to tease a potential People's Champs match in the future. Nitro closed out the first hour having a 3-way for the #1 contender for the WCW title after the Bret vs. Goldberg match at Starrcade, with Sting, Jarrett and Benoit going 4 minutes, with Benoit going over after Dustin Rhodes' interference, while Raw had a Too Cool vs. Holly's tag match along with the entrances of the Test Triple H match coming up next, closing the first opposed hour with a 6.3 to 2.8 rating margin. The third and biggest hyped main event opened Nitro's third hour, with Goldberg vs. Nash about to take place before Hall went after Goldberg during his entrance to lead to another Outsiders Goldberg and Seed brawl backstage on the way to the ring, eventually starting the match built as the third and decisive Goldberg vs. Nash match, with both having one win over each other, ending up with Goldberg going over, with the unusual viewership pattern on the night continuing due to the increased interest on Raw, as what would have normally guaranteed a major viewership bump in the Goldberg-Nash match along with the Piper Mud Wrestling segment in the same quarter, stayed the same as the previous quarter with a 2.8 rating. Raw's top of the hour quarter with the Test vs. Triple H match along with the intrigue of Vince McMahon as special referee behind the Vince mask to get around the restraining order, jumped over 800,000 viewers to a quarter-high 6.9 rating, going 8 minutes, with Test going over an hour before the wedding after Shane's interference. After doing several tests in the past week, Steve Austin was set to undergo spinal surgery that will give him a chance of a return to the ring, with JR acknowledging in his weekly report that Austin's in-ring activities are in danger if not responding well to recovery after it, while at the same time with Austin off for the foreseeable future and Taker out for months. Mick Foley appeared on TSN's Off the Record with the host publicly announcing that Foley might have announced his retirement by the time the interview airs, which was delayed due to the Austin news, with Foley attempting to work through the start of the year to give the company time to plan ahead, as with Vince McMahon about to be with 3 out of its top 4 stars off television in the near future. The big story of the week saw a list of high-profile sponsors pulling out due to media pressure, with perhaps the highest profile being Coca-Cola, leading to Vince responding in a letter saying that the PTC is not a council but a fictitious organization, while criticizing Coke for pulling out, saying that their decision is discriminatory and hypocritical as they continue to advertise on other similar edgy programs, with the idea for the near future being to tone down SmackDown on network television while Raw remains the same on cable. With Al Snow trying to convince Foley to pick him as the Rock and Sock partner in a 6-man tag against DX coming up, Rock entered the frame completely ignoring Snow while cutting a promo on him to Foley in a comedic segment to continue the build to an eventual Rock vs. Snow match in another mini-program for Rock on the way to the Royal Rumble, followed by the DX team of Road Dogg, Gunn and X-Pac against Rock, Mankind and Kane as the mystery partner, with the building erupting for Rock's entrance and his debut in the arena in one of the biggest ovations the Staples Center has seen to date, going 4 minutes with Rock having the match won until Snow interfered for the DQ finish, jumping over 500,000 viewers to a 6.8 rating. Nitro's final quarter opened with the payoff of the Vito Johnny skits, with Disco and Lash setting them up to cover them with spaghetti sauce in the apartment, with the Luger Sting angle for the 3rd week in a row being placed in the same time slot as a lead into the main event, with Luger as promised to Russo earlier throwing Liz in the mud, before Sting came out from behind to throw Luger in a $3,000 suit, with the 3 team of Hall and Nash, Brett and Benoit and Goldberg and Seed along with Piper as the special referee making their entrances 5 minutes from the top of the hour to pick up the final quarter over 500,000 viewers to a joint show high 3 rating. At the same time, Raw had one of its most unusual final quarters, with the majority of the segment seeing the payoff of the Acolytes Dudleys poker game to end in a wild brawl and a series of backstage skits to set up the wedding segment coming up, having the family introduction along with the Test Stephanie and Vince entrances. Nitro's 3-way tag cage match saw WCW loading up the overrun segment with massive star power all in the ring at the same time to counter-program Raw's wedding angle head-to-head, while like Raw taking a longer overrun than usual, going 8 minutes past the top of the hour, but with mega hype job for the Raw angle. Nitro's overrun still dropped to a 2.7 rating from the final quarter, ending up with Chris Benoit pinning Scott Hall after a diving headbutt from the top of the cage to finish, with Hall, Nash and Jarrett teaming up for a post-match beatdown to close the show. The wedding ceremony segment started already past 11 p.m. with Triple H interrupting a few minutes in, saying that while Vince told him that anyone who's not a family member or invited is allowed to get involved, he should watch the footage on screen, introducing the video of Hunter driving Stephanie around Vegas to a wedding chapel to reveal that they got married, with this segment going the longest Raw has went past the top of the hour since the move to the 2 hours 9 to 11 p.m. time slot. going off the air at 11:13 p.m. gaining over 1.2 million viewers, including the last 5 minutes of the segment unopposed to a peak 7.3 rating and over 8.6 million viewers, with Raw jumping big to its highest rating since September 27 with a 6.5 overall.